The title of my message is Don't Believe Every Conservative Commentator That You Hear. You know, I went to the store today, and I knew there were foreign people there. There were also a lot of really fat people. Maybe I was one of them. Yeah, you were one of them. Oh, okay, I was one of the fat people. Despite Ozempic, it seems like a lot of people in America are really fat. It's all right. You know, who am I to be a pot calling the kettle black? One shan't, one shall not. The lady cashier at the self-checkout, she was so nice. You know, give credit where it's due. She's obviously from the Caribbean. She has that accent, like she's from Jamaica. She has that beautiful Caribbean accent. And she says, "Mom, register number 15 is open." And like, she's just like so nice. And she just looks an average person. Why would you confuse somebody like that with somebody who's really doing insane, maniacal things? That's the problem. This is the problem with buying into the conservative ideology a little bit too much. Judging people on race. Now, I understand. Because, in fact, my father-in-law was a business owner, and I'm telling you, he went out of his way, just like my dad did, to treat all employees the same. He would hire anybody regardless of their skin color. But he had a young male employee that just got upset at him. He says, "I think you're treating me like your servant or something." I mean, was he entitled to a lavish wage? And he just rage quit. It's like, I'm sure my father-in-law's head was spinning. What? I always treated him as fairly as I could. I went out of my way to be kind to him, and even to hire him in the first place. And you know, this is the gratitude that I get. You understand? Oh, furthermore, don't say the furthermore. Okay, I won't say the furthermore. However, there was an employee that stole from him quite a bit, and they were not of his same Caucasian race. And he was really kind of bedeviling the whole organization. I don't know why he would do that, why he took advantage of a kind-hearted Catholic person. He knows his reasons for doing that. But, you know, that's the way it goes when you're a small business owner. If you have the ability to have a business and hire people, that is so wonderful. That is such a blessing to other people. Could I own a business and hire people? Well, let me think about it. No. If I had $5 million. No, I know. Bare Naked Lady said, if I had $1 million, I'm saying if I had $5 million, I could probably, Lord, please give me $5 million. Let manna rain from the heaven. Let's say heaven or heavens, I don't know. If people are making income from YouTube, that is so wonderful. One of my favorite YouTubers is Tinashe Peter. If I'm mispronouncing his name, I'm sorry. I know he's younger than I am, and I don't really have any affection for him. Like, oh, I'm just so romantic. I'm not romantically attracted to him. It's like, yeah, I like what he has to say. You know, he isn't an ugly person. I guess generally people would consider him to be handsome, but it's not like I'm having fantasies about him. He's saying the quiet part out loud a lot of times. And his parents were immigrants from Africa. Isn't that interesting? it is true that we are a nation of immigrants. But as I was saying, before my phone kind of wigged out on me, I was listening to a conservative commentator. I had rage quit his channel about 8 months ago. And today I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, this is just not right. I'm just shaking my head. Because now he's disparaging Native Americans and saying they don't have anything to do with democracy. You've gone a bit too far. You really have. And by the way, you're looking a bit dark. Like my parents were like, well, maybe you're Black Irish or something. It's like they wanted so much for me to be Aryan, but I didn't turn out to be Aryan like my brother did. So, well, the Welsh, they're very dark people. That explains your swarthy looks. And I had a DNA test, and I was really disappointed I didn't have any Native American. I'm like, you mean I'm just like a white person? You want to go to the Gap? Seinfeld episode. You're not even Ashkenazi or whatever, how they say it, Ashkenazi Jew. You're just pretty much a random white lady. And all of the people that are supposedly my relatives online, they just look like the average blonde people that you see in society. I'm like, but they don't look like me. Well, I guess you're special then. Just like Newman from Seinfeld. I'm special. Oh. So oddly enough, do I want to say oddly enough, or would that be offensive if I finish the sentence? Oh, one must consider. It is true that after my parents' divorce, things started to go downhill. Excuse me, I'm in the bathroom. Things started to go downhill for me. At first, I was welcomed with open arms by the little citizen me in the 6th grade. Myra Kay, you're sticking in my mind here. She's so sarcastic. I rage quit her channel too. Don't forget I did that. I recently resubscribed. But just you wait. If you make another mistake, I'll probably have to rage quit your channel too. Rage unsubscribe. You're just such a mean person. I don't know what I can do. I'm a principled person. I thought you would get into your pond. Okay, you want me to get to my point? Well, it's going to take a meandering course. To be welcomed with open arms, and all of a sudden people just turn on you. I can't explain why that happened, but I was just scared, and I was like in a totally new environment, and I was really bullied in front of. I was humiliated and bullied, and the teachers, the administration, we're just gonna go to the teachers' lounge and smoke a couple of doobies. We don't notice what happened. It's so embarrassing. I could tell you more highlights if I had a biographer. A very skilled biographer could put it all together. Well, once you're an important person, you can hire a biographer. Once I'm an important person, I can hire a biographer. Okay. Thanks for the advice. And then, the terrible thing is, we just abruptly moved back to the old neighborhood in the 7th grade, and that's when you're entering puberty. And here I am carrying a purse in school, and it's kind of like, because I'm having a period, suddenly at 12 years old. And one of my friends said, it's just so obvious, like that purse is just really, so obvious that you have. I was like, I didn't know my mom bought me this purse. I thought I had to carry a purse because, I have to have the feminine supplies, Like, you cannot win for losing with these people. They're always going to criticize you. And then, Well, that was the 7th grade. 8th grade was terrible. 9th grade was even worse. Ninth grade, there's a lot of people kind of living on the fringes of, I would think so, living on the fringes of society. And at that time, I was begging my parents, please get me contact lenses. I look so ugly with these glasses because my eyesight is kind of bad, so I have to have glasses that are extremely, like, microscope lenses. They make my eyes look really tiny. I'm sorry, it's not an attractive look for me. Severe nearsightedness. Very severe. Astigmatism, I'm really not sure about that, but nearsightedness, yes. And so I had to wear these glasses, and I'm a little bit fat, and I'm pimply, and my hair is not... I wanted it to grow out. Well, good luck with that. You don't have the best hair in the world. I had a friend that had really good hair, and she became a beauty contestant. Yes, my hair was naturally frizzy, like it really was. Or you could say I was a nappy-headed hoe. Just naturally frizzy. But very fine, so, it doesn't seem to grow long, and it's like, it's the worst combination in the world. People think you're doing that deliberately. People would even make fun of me, sometimes, like, did you get a perm? Like, I would, like, no, you're digressing. Now stop with the digressing. Okay, I'm going to stop with the digressing. Well, in 6th grade, there was a girl who was really friendly to me, and I did stay overnight at her house one time, and I think her aunt or her sister asked me when I was only like 12 years old, do you want to have a drink of beer? I'm like, oh no, thank you. And the aunt or the sister got really mad. She started getting really upset. Maybe they were wanting me to pass out and want to take nude pictures of me or something. You never know about people's motives. However, one surmises, one does. But fast forward years later when I'm in high school and I recognize the one girl that invited me over to a sleepover, and I thought, I don't know anybody. I'm really scared. This is high school. I am so scared. I'm 14 years old. The friends that used to be so nice to me were just extremely mean to me. But I thought, well, at least they'll tolerate me sitting at the lunch table. And there was this one person who eventually I heard she committed. She drowned by her own volition, I would say. She's just so mean to me. And she's like, you can't sit at this table. You have weird eyes. Oh, because I have Asiatic-looking eyes. So, don't think that I haven't experienced racism. Please don't. By the way, false eyelashes, unless you're like a chemotherapy patient, why are you wearing false eyelashes? Why are you appropriating somebody else's eyelashes? I mean, if you want to wear a wig, wear a wig. As for me, no more fake hair. No more little, hair pieces or anything like that. I don't want to get credit for something that I don't actually possess. You know what I'm saying? So ironically, at this school, this is in the middle of a place that really supposedly celebrates a tribe called the Mohican tribe. So I thought American Indians, not that I am one, would be welcome. But no. You're just going to be like You're going to be the target of the narcissistic, excuse me, I'm busy in the bathroom, narcissistic school abuse system. You're gonna, why did I even get into this emotionally dysfunctional scholastic family? I never signed up for it. Certainly I didn't have to pay a dime for it. I guess my parents paid, taxes for the school district or whatever. I mean, I had to actually, because I was bullied by this mean girl who eventually did herself in. I actually had the temerity, I had the chutzpah to go to the vice principal's office and say, hey, they're so mean to me in this lunch period. Could you please switch me to a new lunch period? And he was very reluctant, and then finally he did. And then I did sit down with some people that were nice. It was kind of like the Breakfast Club from, what was that, 1985 or something? Oh, don't mention the actors. Well, Rob Lowe, he was okay. I sat down with the table. People were very nice to me. There was a very tall girl who had come from New York or New Jersey with blonde hair, but she had a Greek last name, so I think she had bleached her hair. She was really tall. And there was a young guy that was he wasn't romantically interested, but he was friendly. I won't say that I made a connection. I'm just saying they tolerated me and they weren't mean to me, so I was really grateful for that. Never mind. Don't do it. Don't do it. You can share that another time. Okay. So I wanted to wrap this up by saying, don't just take everybody's word for it. I was just really disappointed when a certain YouTuber started to put down the American Indians like they didn't make any contribution to democracy whatsoever. Well, I'm looking at you like, what contribution did you make to democracy? You don't look very Aryan to me. You look a little bit Middle Eastern, actually. You trying to undermine? You trying to make people racist? The state where I grew up in? Well, we actually smuggled slaves to freedom. Many of them went to Canada. Some of them stayed here. I'm not sure that they had the best life in the world, and how is that my responsibility? All of my ancestors, all of them were in Europe during the time of slavery. I don't think even any one of them was here during the time of slavery. They were very recent emigres. So this is how we're going to make the connection. We're going to entitle this scapegoating. You could say you feel sorry for a person, but don't do it. Probably would be a risk that I don't want to take. Meow, says the cat. Scapegoated person. The scapegoated person will be in a system. They could be a particular race. They could be a particular class. They could even be a particular person. I don't know what I did to deserve any of this. What, you were born and you were like a demon's child? No, I don't think I was a demon's child at this point. And there was a book that was popular, I think in the 1980s, called The Bad Seed. Like, I don't want to read this demonic crap. I had a friend that's like, she would read books, and I'm like, I don't want to get into the gory stuff. Romance novels with, the explicit, things, which I don't recommend. That's better than reading a horror book and, like, people being killed and everything. V.C. Andrews, yeah. I'd rather not be terrified by dreams. I'd rather not do that. Be terrified by dreams. And I think back to O. Henry, who, O. Henry he went to prison for embezzlement, by the way. So, but he wrote this really wonderful short fiction story, and I was left alone a lot when I was a young lady. So I had the opportunity to read the literature that was on my parents' shelves that my dad eventually sold to somebody, because those volumes do not exist anymore. There was Gone with the Wind. There was, obviously, short stories by O. Henry, The Ransom of Red Chief. Okay, so this is the premise of it. This is the storyline. A couple of guys kidnapped, criminals obviously, kidnapped this little boy with red hair and freckles. And they were holding him for ransom, and I don't think they planned to kill him from the very beginning. I think they just thought if they got their ransom, then they would let him go. They just thought, this is very opportune for us. So, but the kid is so annoying that they had to let him go. He was just so annoying. He's just the most annoying little kid on earth. I don't know if that was Mark Twain or O. Henry. It's really funny.
Mom?
Yeah?
Where are you?
I'm in the bathroom. So, in a way, I sort of identify with that kid. Like, you're just so annoying, we have to let you go. Well, I get, possibly that is the case. Like, there's something about you. Remember that from, it was a popular song in the 1980s. There's something about you. And then where it all came up with, yes, dear.
I should have asked for more stuff earlier.
That's okay. You can tell me about it in a few minutes. Pardon me. Think about it, folks. I mean, during the time of the Atlanta child murders, I was alive. I didn't realize he was just kidnapping boys. He wasn't interested in little girls, but we were afraid. Anytime we saw a van, we're so afraid. So this makes me authentic. I remember that, the Atlanta child murders. I had a dog who relentlessly chased me, and he had like a demonic look in his eyes. Now, that's not to say that dogs are bad. I'm just saying this dog really had it in for me. Rick Renner will attest to that, because if you listen to him, he says, oh yes, dogs can be demon-possessed. I can attest to that. I'm not trying to mock him. I'm just trying to imitate his voice in a very approximate way. I mean, this dog really, it's just relentlessly, I was like so scared. I'm just trying to walk around the neighborhood, and there's no leash laws, or you don't have to keep your dogs in fences. And this dog just relentlessly chased me. And here's a little story I'm going to share, and I'm going to close with this. My husband knows. Girl, you know it's true. Everything I say is true. I don't make things up. I'm not that imaginative. One time I sat down, maybe 2 or 3 times, trying to write a fictionalized story, and it's like, well, I'm just running out of ideas. Oh, maybe your life is interesting. No, but it's real anyway. Yeah, man, I'm telling you. I was staying over at another babysitter's house that was really sketchy. Like, I had a few very sketchy babysitters. Really sketchy. Yeah, we don't want to go into all the details. But this dog was relentlessly chasing me and bothering me. I had a nice babysitter and a sketchy babysitter. And I happened to be at the sketchy babysitter's house on that particular day. And it was their dog that was terrorizing the whole, I don't want to say neighborhood, community, vicinity. Maybe that would be the correct word. And these people were like, they're old-time farmers. And, you know, they just got so upset at this dog that was just so annoying. They drove like a pickup truck with like a flatbed. And there's one of the sons standing in the back of the truck. That dog would relentlessly chase them and bark at them and bedevil them. Basically, that's what that dog did. That was that dog's job. And then they paused in front of my babysitter's house and they said, this is really how they sound. I got a pitchfork with your name on it, dog. Even though we lived in Ohio, somehow everybody seems to sound like they come from the deep south when they're of a certain, affiliation. I got a pitchfork with your name on it, dog. They didn't actually kill the dog. But I guess he just wanted to let the owners know that the dog is really kind of a nuisance. And the thing was, that dog, I thought the dog was going to kill me like at least 2 or 3 times. I really thought that dog has it in for me. It's going to slash my throat open and I'll be dead. And then, of course, being the person who just cosplays, like, oh, that's just like, it's so low class. Like, how could he act like that? Like, your dog is wonderful. Your wonderful Cujo is just so great. No, the dog wasn't great, and I feel bad about that. However, I don't really think that their cosplay was recommendable. I'll say it that way. Mary treasured a lot of things in her heart. She just remembers all these things, and I think that when you look at the 4 Gospels of the Bible, oh no, she's talking about the Bible. I had to get around to the Bible at some point, didn't I? When Jesus was 12 years old and they were going to Jerusalem for the feast or whatever it was. And they were with a large family group. And then they realized that Jesus was not with anybody, and they panicked and they went frantically searching for him. And I'm going to cry. Oh no, don't cry, please don't. I don't know, it's just so authentic. They found him in the temple, and they said, our son, why did you worry us so much? I think they had searched for him for 3 days. And he said, I'm going to cry. I'm sorry. Didn't you know I had to be about my father's business? I mean, he knew that his father was God. So I have to say, a lot of times, Jesus wasn't treated very well and he wasn't recognized for who he was. And perhaps there's somebody in your life that you are not treating well. Maybe you don't have that faith that Jesus had. I think that maybe you don't. You might have to live through the tribulation. So I'm sorry. How do we want to wrap this up? Maybe some of you are going to have to live through the tribulation since you don't really accept Christ as your Lord and Savior. Maybe you will have to live through the tribulation, and I'm not anybody to judge. I do think that the tribulation is going to happen soon. I don't want any part of it. And people who refuse to repent, that's the thing. I might disagree with one theologian. I will call him a theologian rather than a preacher. He says, oh, everybody's going to be raptured. It doesn't matter. Long time ago, I did a Bible study about 15 years old. Some people will not be raptured because their faith is going to have to be purified during this time of tribulation. And in fact, a lot of Christians are going to be beheaded. During the time, but it's already happening. Who's beheading people? Who thinks it's delightful to behead somebody? What kind of weirdos are these? Well, of course, they don't know, they're deceived. You gotta pray for these people. Eventually, certain aspects of this person's doctrine were discredited, so the church sort of disbanded, although there's still a remnant of it. Don't be, please don't be like an apostate or a heretic. Just stick to the facts, ma'am, The Bible is very clear. However, we try to puzzle these things out, obviously. Some people are going to have to live through the tribulation in order to purify their faith. And really, I suppose their eligibility for going to heaven rather than to hell. And I'm talking about Christians. I'm talking about anybody. So it would really be useful to you to read the Bible. Please just read the Bible. That's all I have to say. And I think this is my last word. Thank you for listening. Adios.